What up, guys? It's Diz. We are going to go over the blacksmith, and the blacksmith won't be unlocked right away. You will have to unlock him as you go through the campaign. So you will have to finish the graveyard, which is the very first area that's right over here, where I'm circling at, and then you will unlock the prison. Once you get over to the prison, you will have to do this mission right here, the guard room, the prison 5, um, and you will unlock the blacksmith. So after you unlock the blacksmith, you will unlock this ability called Filter Otron, and you will make sure you click this. So if you're collecting green gear, you want to hide your normal gear so you can get fragments to turn into a higher tier so you can actually reroll stats or change stats. And then so on and so forth. So if you get green gear, or if you start getting blue gear, you want to hide your magic gear. If you start getting epics, you want to start hiding your blue gear. And how you do that is you just click this button right here, and then you can hide them to get fragments. Make sure this says fragments at the bottom. If it says gold, you will get gold instead, or if it says none, you will get nothing, which you do not want to do that. So what you can do also is I myself do not hide epics and legendaries. I like to just look at the stats manually, but that's my personal opinion. That's how I just play. So whatever works for you. You're also going to have other icons down here. So if you, let's say I did want to hide epics, I can click this, and then you can click pure stats. If it has pure stats, it won't get rid of them. If it has highlighted stats that you have, has perfect scores, however you want to do it, it won't destroy it. What I mean by highlighted stats is if you come in here and you want, let's go with cooldown reduction. You want cooldown reduction, you're going to click this, and now this stat is now highlighted. So if you see a piece of gear that is gold, it has cooldown on it. So that's how you know that piece of gear has the set that you want. So we're going to go back. I'm going to change my filter back so I don't forget. And that's just how you do that. Actually, let's just change this and then go back. Just like that. Boom. So we're going to get started on trying to turn this really crappy piece of gear into something that's awesome. So it is a belt. What we're going to do is we're going to try to match the stats that I have on this piece of gear. As you can see, I have a piece of gear that has a green stat. What is that? That is a pure stat. Pure stats are a higher value stat compared to these white stats, and they're pretty rare to get. I will do a tutorial video for the temple and kind of explaining more in depth what a pure stat is. Now, if you roll a pure stat, so let's say I want to roll this stat off, just like that, I will get rid of the pure stat effect. It says here, warning, purity will be lost on at least one stat. So you do not want to roll these if you get a stat that you want. But if you do not get a stat that you want, then you can roll it off. It's your personal preference. But I got a stat that I wanted, so we're going to keep it. So let's take this really crappy piece of gear and turn it into something that's awesome. Well, let's say you don't have any materials, you have a bunch of fragments. So this is the third tab is how you craft the Slorm line, which is how you get your materials to reroll stats or add stats. So be careful, this can be very costly, so just be kind of careful. The higher tier means how much it'll go up in gold, and obviously the higher tier fragments. Don't worry about these other deals later. I will explain them more in depth eventually. These are used for Slormologist, and I have a guide for the Slormologist. So please check that video out if you are confused with what these do. These are all for the Slormologist for the most part. This one is not though. But anyways, so let's say you have a bunch of resources. You're fine. Let's get down to this. You're gonna scroll down and you're gonna see all these stats. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, there's so many. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to break down each tier and kind of explain what it does. Reforge all stats affects all your stats, and it rerolls the stat just like this. I normally do not like doing this because I want to hone in on one individual skill. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down and we're going to go down to Reforge normal stats or Reforge normal score. So we want to match the stats of the belt. On this belt, it has raw damage. So we want to get raw damage. So you're going to come down to Reforge normal stat. You're going to see a bar to the right that has a bunch of stats to the right. These are all your possible rolls. And so we got to kind of rely on RNG to get these rolls. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to click. And you can now see that Aura increased effect is now orange. What that means is I cannot roll Aura increased effect anymore. Once it's orange, I cannot roll that at all. It's just going to go down the list of all the attributes. So eventually, I will get the stat that I want, which I think is a great system. It prevents RNG kind of screwing you over a lot more. So we're going to keep rolling until we get down to raw damage. Now at raw damage, I got a 490 out of 637. Well, we want to get a higher roll than that. So we're going to go to Reforge normal score. And boom, we got max roll, which is very lucky. It doesn't always do that. We just got lucky on getting the max roll. Now we have a defense stat. So we're going to scroll down, and same thing. We want to match the stat, which is evasion, and we're going to roll and try to get evasion. And boom, there we go. So 623 out of 723. So we're going to try to get that max stat. Just like this. This might take a little bit. And then boom, we got it. Well, you're like, well, we're done. We only have 2 stats. Well, if you have enough resources, you can add a magic stat. This can be a little costly early game. I do not recommend this. I think you should wait till you get the magic item or blue item or epic item, because this can be very costly for just starting out. So what you're going to do is you're going to add this, and boom, now this item is now a green item. It's a magic item. Well, same thing. Now we got these 2 new ones. So it's the magic score and magic stat, just like the top ones up here. Well, we want to get damage to elites. So we're going to keep rolling. The same thing we've been doing before. And now we have a lot more options. So RNG has its evil tendencies. So we're going to keep rolling until we get down to damage to elites. Well, we got 13 out of 16. Well, we want 16. You don't have to. I normally don't get max roll. Sometimes I get really close. But if you're a perfectionist, I'll go for it. You know, whatever you want. If you have the resources and gold, go for it. Well, we re-rolled and got the 16. It can be lucky sometimes like that. And yeah. Well, now we want to make it into a blue. As you can tell, I have 44 out of 5. So I don't have very many blues. If you want to get more blues, make sure you have the resources. You can convert your resources over to get higher tier stuff. But as you can tell, it's really not very efficient. So just kind of be careful unless you have a ton of them. You can see it takes 10 of them to make 1 blue. So be careful with your resources. But out of tutorial sake, we are going to waste them. So we're going to click, and we got totem effect. Well, we want crit chance. So we're just going to keep rolling until we get crit chance. That's crit damage, and that's crit chance. We got the max roll, which is great. And then so on. Now we can come down to epic stat. As you can tell, this costs 196k gold, which is a lot, especially early game. If you're new, you're not going to have a whole lot of gold. You're going to burn up all your gold if you do this. Do not do this. Wait till you get epic gear before you start rolling. But at a tutorial sake, I will show you again what it looks like. So we're going to roll, and boom, I got epic stats now. As you can tell, it's now yellow. Now same thing, I got 2 new deals. So Reforge epic score and Reforge epic stats. Well, as you can tell, You know, you'll see some epic gear that has 3 stats, 2 stats, and you're like, well, I only got 1 stat. Well, if you reforge epic stat, you will get higher uh, stats. You will get higher chances of getting other stats, which is great. So you'll eventually get to the 3 stats if you do this. So don't be alarmed. So we got, let's say we wanted elite damage reduction, which we have right now. But we don't want the other 2 stats. We don't want the experience game, and we don't want the overdrive bounce number. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to lock the elite damage reduction and reroll for stats that we want. Just make sure it's locked. Be very careful not to accidentally reroll again to lose the stat that you wanted. Now you're going to come down even further, and you're going to see add Reaper stat, add Mastery stat. You're going to see all these other stuff, and you're going to be, if you're new, it might be a little bit confusing, but I'm going to explain it. So add Reaper stat. Reaper stat is a name of a creator of the weapon that you're using. So you're going to see a bunch of names on the right hand corner, and then if you're using a weapon that you like, you want to look at your weapon and you're going to see their name. It's going to say the name of the bow, and at the very bottom it's going to say bow or sword or staff, and it's going to say by. This one says Corey Ironbender, so we want Corey Ironbender. So we're going to add Reaper stat, and we have the same 2 stats that we had before, or same 2 usage of what we can do. So we're going to roll until we get Corey Ironbender, which we got extremely lucky and re-rolled and got 5 out of 1. Then you're going to come down here and you're going to get Mastery. Mastery is your skill level of the abilities that you use. So I use Arrow Shot. I really like Arrow Shot, and my build's designed around Arrow Shot. So I want to get my Arrow Shot stronger. So what we're going to do is we're going to add Mastery. Unfortunately, I got Void Arrow, so we're going to roll, and boom, we got Arrow Shot. No, now we got 1 out of 2. Well, we want to make that 2. So boom, now we have 2 extra Mastery for Arrow Shot, which increases its damage. Well, now if we go down a little bit further, well, we have add attributes. Attributes are these right here. If you push T, so this is just how you fill in your talent tree on what you're missing or what you want. So let's say we wanted savagery and we wanted more damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that piece of gear that we have, and we are going to try to roll savagery on it. And boom, we got zeal. Same thing, same 2 things that we can choose from. And then boom, we're going to try to get savagery. Boom, there we go. And then same thing, we got 2 out of 3, so we're going to try to reroll until we get 3. Just like that. Now, if you come down a little bit further, you're going to see add legendary effect. Do not do this, especially if you're a new person. If you're new to the game, you will not know all the legendary items that are currently in the game, so you're just going to spend a ton of gold for no reason. So as you can see, you will see it costs 1.1 million gold, and for something that you don't even know that you'll get is good. So be very careful for doing this. It costs a lot, so do not do this. So if I were to click, it will turn into a legendary item with a little effect. As you can see, I have a bunch of legendaries here. So you will get legendaries as you play the game, so just be patient. Just, kind of learn what that legendary items do first and go from there. If you go a little bit further down, you will see update item level. So this item is level 75. Well, I'm level 80, so I want to get better stats. So what you can do is you can update the level, and it uses the Slormancer of True Potential. So it costs almost 6,000 gold. So it can be a little bit pricey. And boom, 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 boom. This is now a level 80 item. I recommend this if you are close. If it's like how that was, it was like 75, 70. I recommend using it. But if it's like a level 1 or level 2, probably below like 40, 50, I recommend not to use that. unless it's a really solid piece of gear that you really like. If you can afford the cost, then do it. So we got our piece of gear that we wanted, and now you're ready to go. You're ready to use it. It's a really solid piece compared to what it was when you first got it, which was a gray item. Now, what else can you do? So let's say I have a legendary that is useless to me for my build, but there was a legendary piece that I wanted. Well, what you can do is you can take a legendary piece, you can come down here, and you could reforge the legendary effect. This is random, so you will get a random legendary that is for bracers, and only bracers. You will not be able to roll bracers and get a amulet or helmet or gloves, strictly for bracers, and that's it. You will see another tab which is Reforged Legendary Score. So as you can see, there's percents values for this legendary. I unfortunately did not get the max roll, so this is how you would get the max roll. This can be a little bit costly, it costs 30,000. So just be careful when doing so. I recommend using this if you really need this legendary, and it will be great for your build. But that's how you reroll legendaries to kind of get the one you want, or if you want higher values. As far as the blacksmith goes, I think that's pretty much about it, guys. You can do the filter from the menu on the fourth tab. If you have a bunch of items in your inventory that you do not want, but you want them as fragments, you can click the second tab and you can break them down, which will do that with these pieces of gear. So I don't want these items, so I can click salvage, and now I got a bunch of fragments from salvaging. So this is how you do the blacksmith. It's very costly, it's very time consuming, but this is how you get really good gear. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I went over this kind of fast. So if I missed anything or if you have any questions, please ask. Please like the video. Please subscribe. It helps my channel out. And yeah, so thank you so much for taking the time. I know this is a longer video. I do apologize, but there's a lot of stuff to the blacksmith that needed to be gone over. So thank you so much, guys, and see you on the next guide video.